Some barristers.
And he's just...
So I'm going to call him Barry from now on. Barry the Bold.
You can't do that.
I'm doing it.
Don't you dare.
It's done.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Brotherhood Without Manners, a full spoiler reread podcast of George R.R. Martin's.
Don't whisper. This is a fucking audio show, and you're whispering.
That's Nate.
I'm
Zach.
Nate.
And we do a full spoiler reread podcast of George R.R. Martin's A Game of Thrones series and Song of Ice and Fire in the future.
You're a dick. You don't gotta yell at me.
Well,
they couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear you, and I'm sitting next to you.
you need to just stop. So,
I'm full. We just ate.
Yeah, that pizza was good.
It was pizza time.
Pizza time.
All right.
So in lieu of any lack of information, which we're kind of in, I have more of an interesting story to start this podcast off with. We were recently playing our bi-weekly Dungeons and Dragons game, which I happen to be the dungeon master of, and I think you were the only one at the table who picked it up, but if you've played Dungeons and Dragons and perhaps the 5th edition starter set, there is what's called the Lion Shield Coster in Phandalin. It's just a trade store, but my party in the game we were just playing, which involves Nate as a druid gnome, decided to inquire further about this business, and in doing so learned that there's an associate named Nikolai, which just happened to pop into my head, and Nate picked it up immediately that I only got that because of Nikolai Coster. Obviously Nikolai Coster-Waldau
I forgot
plays
about that
Jamie
until
Lannister,
you mentioned this right now.
Yeah.
And I was so excited because I noticed that, because we play it with a couple of guys, a couple of friends, and our other brother. He's not allowed on the podcast.
He can't be here.
I don't think he actually listens, so it's
Good.
okay that we're saying this stuff. But yeah, when I heard you say that, you're like, yeah, he's there, my associate Nikolai, and I was like, wait a minute. Isn't he's the Coster in Neverwinter?
Yeah,
and you were like, yeah, and I was like, so he's Nikolai the Coster, and you were like, yeah.
I enjoyed
son of
it.
A bitch.
I enjoyed
You
it.
son
It
of a
just
bitch.
it popped into my head. That was just pure improv. I wasn't prepared for you to reach that far yet, and just in a menial question. But yeah, Jamie Lannister, you're on the brain, I guess.
Jamie Lannister's always on the brain.
Anyway, in a nice little pivot, last time we read Catelyn 3? Catelyn 3.
So our time frame for recording is literally that we just finished recording Cat 3. We ate some
spoilers.
pizza.
You can't tell the behind the scenes.
Yes, we can. We ate some pizza, and now we're back to record this one. So he literally, in the 35 minutes it took for us to eat some pizza, forgot what we had covered.
You're the rudest piece of shit that I know. Anyway, Cat 3 was a great chapter. We got...
I don't remember. It was so long ago.
I'll fucking jab you right in the throat. It was, we got a good look at Cat potentially...
Barracks whining now, too. Your life is just going straight
I feel like
down.
Cat sometimes. The dog just doesn't stop. Day and night, night and day, night and day. And it's driving me nuts. See? There
He's
he is
scratching.
Again. Barrack, please stop. Please.
I think it worked.
I do too.
This week, though, after that haunting turn of Cat when she went from deathbed grieving mother to calculating badass, we're going over to her eldest daughter, Sansa.
Yeah, the one that favors her the most, supposedly. Not her favorite brand, but Sansa. And Sansa, we open up in Sansa's first chapter. Sansa's having breakfast with Septim Ordain and is being informed that Ned has just left before dawn. He's on yet another hunt with the king.
Which we know is not the actual reason for the leaving, but, As far as they're concerned, he's out hunting
Wait,
with the king.
Do we know that?
Well, yeah, isn't that...
Because they're in the neck at this point, so I don't think this is like the chapter where Ned rides off. And
I think so. Because his chapter is following this one. It's immediately after. I think that's that same day.
Wait, what is Ned's next chapter?
Ned's next chapter is where he kills Lady.
Yeah, they're at the inn.
The chapter before that was when him.
So where is Ned? What do you think Ned is going to do?
Well, they went out with Robert. He went out with Robert to talk about the wedding to Dany.
I think that was way further earlier. Ned and Dany, because we already read that Ned chapter. This is way after that. This is like 2-3 chapters after Ned and Robert are sitting down on the King's Road discussing it.
Oh, I just assumed that it was...
Yeah, no, I don't think they're parallel. I think some time has passed at this point. Because they're down into the neck now. It's boggy and marshy and
that
shitty.
That does make sense. I suppose you're right.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
That's okay. But, yeah. Ned happened quite a few ago.
That makes a lot more sense.
Anywho. So, yeah. Well,
now I want to know what they're hunting. Probably boar. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's Robert wanted another hunt, or I mean, maybe he did just want to ride off with Ned and chill. But I don't think that it's the same news of Daenerys Targaryen as well.
Yeah, because I was thinking later on that it was the honor guard, the escort that showed up, had been also delivering the message of the wedding.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, so that's where I got.
Yeah, I get you. No, yeah.
Anyway, my bad. Let's go back to topic.
Yeah, so Ned, Sansa's being informed by Septa Mordain that Ned had left at before dawn on another hunt with the king, and Sansa's kind of like whatever about this. She's feeding Lady some bacon under the table, and Lady takes the bacon as delicate as a queen, it says. So we get some insight that Lady is very much like her owner in that she's very proper and polite and calm, even when eating. Septa Mordain doesn't like at all that Sansa is feeding Lady at the table.
Fuck Septa Mordain. So Septa Mordain to me is like an uncool McGonagall. Like if McGonagall wasn't a badass who like totally stood up for the right things and just handled business and was just like a fucking bitch, you'd have Septa Mordain.
It's actually really funny that you bring up Harry Potter because I have a Harry Potter reference to make later in the
Great,
chapter, but,
that's good.
Yeah, so Septa Mordain is not pleased, and she even says when it comes to the wolf that Sansa is as willful as her sister Arya.
I posted that quote on Twitter as my quote of the day,
which I think is probably the only similarity they share.
Right, absolutely.
They don't really share anything else. But then
because she even she was like, it's unladylike to feed a dog at the table, and I really like that Sansa got snarky because you only see that from Arya.
Yeah,
but she was like, actually, Lady's a dire wolf, so.
And my father said we can keep them.
Hashtag suck it.
Yeah, basically. But Septa Mordain asks, where is Arya? And tells Sansa, basically, remind her to dress nicely. We were all invited to ride with the queen and the princess.
Oh, there was a little quote there about Arya when she asked where she was, and Sansa was like, she said she wasn't hungry, and then in just a side thought, she was like, Arya probably sneaked down to the kitchens hours ago, and wheedled some breakfast out of some chef's boy.
Yeah,
and for those who have read the sample chapters, Arya begins to use certain parts of herself that aren't quite all.
What are you doing? This
prominent.
Is a Sansa 1, man.
I know, right? And so I just really think that, not necessarily as
it starts
bad
here.
as
she's
she
able
is,
to get what she wants.
but I feel like she's putting on some charm for these the little boys in the kitchens. I know if I was 8-10 years old and some little cute little 8-year-old comes up to me, I'm gonna be like, I'll get you some breakfast. Yeah, cool. And she's a lord's lady, like she's not just some tavern wench. So I thought that was neat.
Arya just have a nice few days, and it's not foreshadowing her being a serial killer. Anyway, Septa Mordane says, we all want to look our best, but Sansa already looked her best. She, brushed her hair out. She's been looking forward to this for more than a week. She knows that she was going to have this ride today, and she's most excited because Joffrey might be there.
I feel like Sansa's the kind of person also who's going to do everything in her power to look her best every single
day
absolutely. Anyway. So, especially today.
And yeah, she... just thinking of it gives her butterflies, and it says specifically Sansa did not really know Joffrey yet, but she was already in love with him. Like, she's just he
has this picture perfect.
Exactly.
And I like how they start. Martin starts the chapter fairly early on, just putting this image of Prince Charming in our mind of who he is and what she thinks he's going to be.
Yeah, how she's picturing him as
how
Prince
harshly
Charming.
Contrasted that is at the end of the chapter.
Yeah, because he was exactly how she pictured her prince would look, whatever prince it was that she got, but she gets Joffrey. And then it says her only concern about the day was Arya. Arya always had a way of ruining everything, which is just... At first, we kind of take it as that older sibling, younger sibling thing, but we learn it kind of escalates with these two, where Arya kind of... we'll get there. Sansa asks to be excused.
So, and I think that's neat that it's foreshadowing that little bit. Yeah, I also wanted to mention that she says Arya is... I'll tell Arya that she needs to look her best, but Arya is going to do what Arya always does, and so she's going to dress like Arya always dresses. Which... absolutely correct. Like,
oh yeah, definitely.
Fuck that. Like,
but yeah, Sansa asks to be excused and leaves. Lady follows her right out. And she stands outside the inn that they're staying in, and she's watching, men prepare for the day's march. It's pretty early in the day yet, and it says that the inn is 3 stories, and it's the biggest Sansa has ever seen. Which, like, again, kind of just paints how naive she is. Like, she's going to King's Landing, where literally everything is going to be fucking ginormous and in your face. Like, Winterfell isn't small by any mean, but she just hasn't seen an inn that's 3 stories. So, like, she's about to start seeing things that she's never seen before.
And so then the inn is also still way too small for the entire King's party.
Yeah.
Because they've swelled up to about 400 men, I think is what it said, with Ned's men joining and some different groups here and there tagging along. So they're now right at the trident.
Yeah.
In the neck there. Below the neck? South of the neck? Right through the neck?
I think right now they're in the neck.
I think they're in the neck. So, yeah. So Sansa finds Arya, and she's at the banks of the trident. And she's brushing Nymeria, who is fucking filthy.
Yeah.
And Arya is still wearing her riding leathers from the day before. She's a mess. And Nymeria is just giving her some shit.
Yeah.
So I really like the fact that literally we just saw our Sansa and Lady doing exactly like Sansa and Lady, delicately, like eating like a lady. And now we see Nymeria. Arya wouldn't let somebody brush her fucking hair.
Yeah, no, they're wrestling.
Like, and so they're showing the exact same comparisons, how identical to their wolves they are. Do you think that only pertains to the girls' wolves? Because Bran's wolf was pretty fucking savage, and so is that saying that Bran is a...
Oh no, I think they're all reflect. Like, Jon is the silent, perceptive, silent type. Not so much silent in that he doesn't speak his mind or anything, but just silent in that he's sort of the silent observer. He's seeing the big picture. The words he says are measured usually and pretty well spoken.
Although now thinking about it, and that like Bran's wolf, every time some trouble's about to occur, it starts warning and seeing the signs before.
Well, that's it.
Else.
Yeah, it almost seems to predict what's going to happen before it happens. I mean, all the wolves tend to do that, but Sansa tells Arya that she needs to dress nice because they're riding in the wheelhouse, and Arya says that she ain't riding in that wheelhouse, and that she and Micah are going to go upstream to hunt for rubies.
That's so cool. I would love to go looking for some fucking rubies from Rhaegar's armor, like.
And Sansa's confused at first, and this is when Arya looks at her like she's stupid. And Arya says Rhaegar's rubies, like kind of like Rhaegar's fucking rubies,
Fucking duh.
and Sansa is absolutely astounded by this, and she's, the queen invited us herself, like we have to attend. It's gonna be great and everything. And Arya says the wheelhouse has no windows to see anything, and Sansa asks, well, like, what is there to see?
So now Martin's gonna give us this just side by side comparison of these two.
Arya wants to see things and enjoy her trip, and Sansa's
wants
fine.
to lounge, relax, travel that way, and just she doesn't want windows. Arya wants to see things, and so she mentions that she's already seen a shitload of new flowers she's never seen before, and then a lizard lion.
Yeah.
Do you know what a lizard lion is?
No.
So I was looking through it and realized by the description he gave, they're crocodiles or alligators.
Yeah, I kind of figure because they're described as like hiding in the quicksand.
Yeah, like
their
logs
eyes poking
and
out.
stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm fairly certain that they said they were black logs with eyes and teeth. I'm pretty sure that's what they call crocodiles there.
Yeah, Sansa starts having concern about Arya ruining things like she always does, and she mentions that she hates riding and Arya loves it.
She's hated every moment of travel.
And yeah, she's hated every single moment in this endless black bog, which I think that's an important thing that we get. Is it took them 12 days to cross through the neck, and it was an endless black bog, whereas Arya's out finding these flowers, these 36 different types of flowers that she's never seen before, and seeing new animals. Like, it just shows the way they're both viewing this
And so
trip.
Arya's even collected some of those flowers, brought them back to her father.
Yep.
And
Sansa was hoping he was gonna, tell her to act like a proper lady, but he only hugged her and
then
thanked her for the flowers.
Those flowers ended up being poisonous.
Yeah, basically poison ivy.
And
they were called poison kisses.
Yeah, and then Sansa was hoping that would teach her a lesson, but instead she goes and rolls around in mud.
She laughed it off,
and laughed it off, which is Arya.
And rubbed mud all over herself because Micah told her it would stop the itch. Arya's just loving it. She's having fun being places she's absolutely never seen.
And talking to the riders is another thing.
Yeah, she likes to ride down the line and just talk to people, and Sansa knows exactly what type of people she likes to talk to. The squires and the sellswords and the, men-at-arms. And
which I guess she's 13 and like she's just dreaming and but damn,
her disdain toward people.
She is so Joffrey at this point. Like, she is just very.
Yeah, the sight of the butcher's boy makes her sick. She doesn't get why Arya hangs out with Micah at all. And then she says that Arya could make friends with anybody. She doesn't care. Arya is kind of more genuine in that way, where Arya will be friends with you based on your personality. She's not really going to judge you, because she likes Micah, the butcher's boy. She's a noble. She shouldn't really be a friend with the butcher's boy, but they play at swords together. Like, they're friends. It's what kids do. And so Sansa's just so indoctrinated into the life. But Sansa keeps trying to convince Arya to come to the wheelhouse, saying, like, that there will be lemon cakes and shit there. Like, Arya gives a fuck about that.
I want lemon cakes, though.
And then Arya just kind of drops a bomb, and she's like, I don't like the queen. And then she says she won't let me bring Nymeria. And Sansa's like a completely...
So with that lemon cakes line, Martin... He capped it by saying there are going to be lemon cakes and tea. Sansa went on, all adult and responsibly.
Yeah.
Which I think is very funny because I feel like it's not at all.
It is to her, though.
Yeah, to
her, reading it from, like, she thinks she's being reasonable, and like, why wouldn't this tempt somebody? But she just doesn't get Arya. Arya has no fucking interest in that shit.
Right.
Like, she's happy sitting down by the campfires, roasting the meat on the mutton and hearing the stories. She doesn't want to eat fancy.
And so, yeah, like you said, she then just, I don't like the queen. And this blows
Sansa can't handle it.
Away.
Yeah. It's like, it's mind-blowing to her that her sister would
she's
say
like,
this.
she won't even let me bring Nymeria. And then Sansa goes and basically quotes fucking Septim Ordain. Well, it's not really the place for a wolf. That's not where it belongs. It's like you literally just were talking to Mordain about how, well, father said I could bring it here and I could have it at the dinner table and then you remember that Myrcella's afraid of wolves.
Yes.
She's scared of them. Arya my hero. While Marcella is a little baby. Little baby Marcella.
Yeah, Arya don't give a shit. Arya's just in love with her wolf. Like, she has no fear of him. So, like, yeah. This is when Lady comes and sits down next to Sansa, and Arya's still trying to brush Nymeria, and she's having none of it, and she starts having to chase her around. And again, it's just that perfect reflection where Lady came and sit, and Sansa's being all adult and reasonable, and Arya's fucking sitting here in a circle chasing her muddy dog while herself is all dirty.
And I think that even Sansa mentions that connection, that somebody said that a dog is a reflection of their owner.
She reflects on that herself, and kind of chuckles to herself.
Because of Lady being
But she turns to leave, and that's when Arya kind of pipes up and reminds her that Lady won't be allowed either at the wheelhouse.
Which really upsets her. Before that, there was a thought where Sansa said her long, horsey face was going stubborn and stern. And I just thought it was funny that once again...
The stern face of the North.
That and calling her horsey face.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so then she's
pretty upset about...
Yeah, because she was like, well, it's going to be even better without you being there. So, me and Lady are going to enjoy all the cakes and the teas. And yeah, Ari's like, joke's on you.
Yeah, exactly.
Lady's not allowed there either, dumbass.
So at this point, she's almost in tears by the time she gets back to the inn. And, she's kind of reflecting to herself that she wishes Arya could be more like Marcella. And then she says to herself that it would have been easier if Arya was a bastard like Jon, that she even already looks like him. Again, Arya is very reminiscent of Lyanna, and Jon and her are similar. Yeah, we all know. And then basically she just... Sansa even asks her mother if there was a mistake with Arya, if maybe like the Grumpkins came and stole her real sister or something, because she just can't believe that her and Arya
There's those Grumpkins again.
Similar of blood, like, because she's so ladylike.
Only being 2 years in difference in age, how could they be so different?
Yeah, exactly.
What she's
but there's a crowd gathered around the wheelhouse, the Queen's wheelhouse, and as Lady kind of clears a path through the crowd for Sansa, she sees that there's 2 knights kneeling before the Queen, and she was told when she asked somebody that the council from King's Landing has sent an honors guard for the king. So she walks up and sees 2 knights are kneeling before the Queen, who's kind of poking her head out the door. One she notices is a knight of the King's Guard. He's older, and the other is a young man in green armor with an antlered helm under his arm. And he was the handsomest man Sansa
and both of those are kneeling.
Yeah, both of them
Whereas
are kneeling.
there's also a third man he's not an old man, even though he's barely got any hair at all left. And that's just sprouting behind his ears. He's wearing like a plain, unadorned armor, worn from use. He has deep-set eyes and hollow cheeks, and a 2-handed greatsword strapped to his back. This guy is standing off to the side. He's not kneeling like the others.
And as she takes note of him, he slowly turns his head to look at her, and Lady starts growling, and a terror that she has never known before fills her. And she starts to take a couple steps back, and she backs into who she, at first, by the big strong hands that grasp her to turn her around, thinks it's her father. But when she's turned around, she's actually looking into the burnt face of Sandor Clegane.
And so, this is one of the parts that I've been most interested in talking about in this chapter. I don't think that, and I feel like it's really easy to just jump right over that part, but I think there's more to that line that at first she thought it was her father.
They're gentle hands.
I think exactly. Like, it's not just these strong, like, the Hound looks like this brutal, terrifying man. And not just because it's a firm grasp from a father, but the fact that they grasped her gently.
Yeah, Ned Stark would never put his hands on his daughters. I could see him maybe smacking a son, but I could never see him laying a hand on his daughter.
So for her to mistake this hand, it has to have touched her in a way that's gentle and caring.
So awful.
Well, you're right. It does sound.
But
awful.
yeah, no, it had to have been gentle and caring.
And
firm.
As we know, he starts developing somewhat of a weird relationship in the future with Sansa, and I feel like this is very much showing that he's not, right from the get-go, that he's not this cruel, terrible person. That he's able to be gentle and I mean, he's not the first person. We just saw it happen with Drogo as well.
Yeah.
But
his reputation isn't exactly what he is.
It's preceding him to the point where even us as the reader assume that, oh, he's this big. It's because he's got big hands.
And he notices that she's shaking, and that's when he asks her, "Do I frighten you so much?" And it said that he did, and he had since she first laid eyes on his horribly burnt face. But he wasn't as bad as the other. And she kind of pulls herself away from him, and Lady growls, and Sansa kind of drops down to Lady's level and just wraps her in a hug. And people around her are talking and kind of laughing and start noticing the wolf and asking what the hell that is. And
that's I after going further through realized that's Barristan and Renly doing that, making that comments. Oh, that's a wolf. That's a dire wolf.
Yeah,
it's the knights have stood up and realized.
Yeah. She looks over and sees that they were actually looking at her with their swords in hand. And this is when she hears the queen say, "Joffrey, go to her," and she looks up and her prince was there. Which I just think it's interesting that Cersei sent him over, and I think it's purely opportune, here's this moment.
Right, I think that's what she's thinking.
Vulnerability.
I also like the line that Sandor said during that all with the wolves when they mention, what are those? When he says, "Oh, they're just the wolves. Starks use them as their wet nurses."
Yeah.
Again, just showing the wittiness of the Hound, how he's always just got these little comments and jests.
Yeah, but Joffrey shows up, tells everyone to leave her alone, and he looks gallant and beautiful.
Right,
and
I really like the way that Martin made him seem like this Prince Charming coming to the damsel in distress, which I feel like Cersei lined up for that purpose, seeing
definitely.
Like
he takes her by the hand and tells her that no one will hurt you, and then he commands everyone to put away your swords, all of you. He asks her what's frightening her and says the Hound, so he sends the Hound away, and it actually says the Hound, ever faithful, bowed and took his leave. Sansa kind of feels foolish and reflects that she's a noble lady of Winterfell. But I thought that kind of harkened back to her mother's chapter, just a chapter ago, where her mother kind of realized and was ashamed that she was a noble
after
lady
going
of
into this weird,
strange. It's not quite as profound in Sansa, but
right.
And then she says, besides, it wasn't the Hound, it was the other one, and the two knights, Renly and Barristan, are listening.
Soon, yeah.
And he speaks up and says, "Yeah, no, Sir Cerilyn frightens me too, child. Like, there ain't no shame in that." Then Cersei, overhearing, comes down from the wheelhouse and says, "If the wicked do not fear the king's justice, you put the wrong man in the office." And yeah, we're kind of fully introduced to Ilyn Payne, the king's justice here, who's just this horrible, horrible looking man.
It's so funny that one of the most wicked in Westeros is saying this, fearless of him.
Yeah. Sansa says that the queen has chosen well with Sir Ilyn, and everybody starts laughing.
And Barristan the Bold gets the most badass. I just love this introduction of himself and how he greeted Sansa, saying, truly the daughter of Lord Stark, like just from the words and the way you express
Barristan
yourself.
Introduces himself and is very chivalrous and honorable, and Sansa knows who his name. She knows he's the Lord Commander of the King's Guard, and she tells him the honor is mine, good knight. Even in the north, the singers sing of Barristan the Bold, and this is when Renly steps up, and Renly's like, "Barristan the Old, you mean?" And he kind of jeffs and calls her Wolf Girl. "If you can tell me who I am, I'll truly know you're the the daughter of our Hand of the King." And
she's like, "Bam, bitch."
Well, Joffrey gets a little pissed, but she cuts him off, and she's like, "Oh yeah, no, I know." And she immediately breaks it down and guesses that you're Lord Renly Baratheon, King Robert's youngest brother.
And so I tweeted about this next part today, because this is my new insult that I'm laying out for everybody, because Barristan was like, "You name him Renly, I name him a prancing jackanape." And so I'm going to start calling people prancing jackanapes.
Yeah, everybody's having a laugh. Renly, it says, laughs the loudest. So, you get the feeling that Renly's just kind-hearted, likes to jest. It's all in good fun. Sansa is kind of relaxing and laughing, and then suddenly Sir Ilan comes shouldering through the crowd.
Ruins everything.
And is just standing before her like a creep. And Lady begins to growl again, but Sansa silences her this time with a gentle hand on her head. That's all it takes. And Sansa actually apologizes if she offended him and waits for an answer. But nothing comes. And basically, she just thought that his eyes seemed to strip her of her clothing, of her skin, all the way down to her soul, which was just kind of an interesting point to make. And then he walks away, and she doesn't really understand. But then Renly jests that he's not really in the mood for talking, and Joffrey then tells her that he had his tongue ripped out by Aerys Targaryen's orders.
With hot pincers.
Damn,
man.
And, yeah,
Do
that's
you think
pretty
there's, I guess we'll talk about it more here at the, when Jaime starts hanging out with Ilan. But I really do like Ilan Payne and what he can potentially bring to the table in terms of just information he knows and things that he's been around.
He was around at an interesting time, and I mean, he definitely, I'm sure, has some feelings about some things that have occurred. But
so then Queen Cersei tells Sansa that unfortunately, and with great apologies, we have to reschedule. There's some important stuff that needs to be talked about with my counselors or the knights or whoever.
Yeah, she tells her to give your sweet sister my apologies, which I just had a chuckle at.
You're gonna make her day.
But she asks Joffrey if he would like to entertain Sansa today, and he says gladly. And he leads Sansa away by the arm.
And it's Sansa's dream.
Oh,
come
yeah,
fucking
this
true.
is
This is her trip to
than,
Disneyland.
Yeah.
And like being a princess for a fucking day at the castle.
Like a whole day with the prince. He's got her by the arm. They're walking around, and she's gazing up at him worshipfully. He was so gallant the way he saved her from the Hound and Sir Ilan. It was just like in the song.
I mean, he was outlined by the sun with his hair looking like a crown, like to her.
Yeah.
He's just this. Perfect.
And so he asks, "What would you like to do, my lady?" And she says, "Whatever."
You
pretty much. He just says, "Be around you" in her head, but then says, "Whatever you'd like to do, my prince." And Joffrey suggests they go for a horse ride, and she says, "Oh, I love riding."
You fucking bitch.
You lying
You
bitch.
motherfucking bitch.
I mean, it's that rose-colored goggles
but she
thing.
literally. I've said literally 3 times this episode.
Yeah, you're a fan of that word today.
I guess so. She was just talking to Arya about how she'd much rather just lay around in the thing instead of riding the horse along the columns. Yeah. She just finished talking to Arya and how much she hated that
she just wants
shit.
his approval. Like, it's very... it's shallow, but she's also 14, 13.
So, yeah, that... Joffrey then mentions, Nymeria or Lady will stir up the horses, and that she's scared of the Hound, so they should leave the 2 pups behind. So I really just thought it was funny because they're gonna leave Lady and the Hound behind, and all I kept thinking of was Lady and the Tramp the whole time, and so Hound is the Tramp, and so it's Lady and the Hound.
Well, Sansa doesn't get it. She doesn't get what he means, and Joffrey kind of clarifies that he means the Hound, and then she feels really stupid, and she thinks that he won't love her if she was stupid. So that's what it's all about. Is she just wants to present this image to make sure that he falls in love with her because she thinks she's in love with him. Yada yada yada.
So then she wonders if it's gonna be safe without the Hound, and he gets all annoyed.
Yeah, he gets annoyed.
I'm not your brother. I don't play with wood.
Yeah, and he pulls out his sword and shows her lion's tooth, and it's beautiful. It's a great sword, just forged, castle steel. It's great.
Did you notice that it's got the same color as Needle?
I did, actually,
the blue forged.
And the lion on the pommel. It's a nice sword. But
lion's tooth.
So they leave, just these 2 heading along the banks of the Trident, and they're riding some horses.
And she literally, again, there's that word, has the best day she's had since leaving, doing exactly what Arya's been trying to get her to fucking do this whole time.
It was a glorious, magical day, she says, and Joffrey rode his blood mare pretty hard, and she struggled to keep up. But they explored caves, they tracked a shadow cat to its lair, and Joffrey even found a holdfast and demanded some food and wine for them when they got hungry, which they ate by the river, and it was a nice meal of trout.
And she drank more than she'd ever
and
had
Sansa
before.
drank more. Sansa was getting fucking swifty.
So was he.
And so was Joffrey. And she mentions that her father only lets them drink a little bit at feasts. And Joffrey responds with, "My betrothed can drink as much as she wants." And then they start riding again, and Joffrey sings to her.
Yeah, that I'd never.
I mean, it's just
before.
painting this perfect prince picture.
I mean, and not that that's technically uncommon, and coming from.
Well, I think at this point, Joffrey is a little more humble. He's not the king; he is the prince, and he's kind of enjoying his day with this cute girl. Like, it is a nice date that they're on.
At this point, he's enjoyed it as well. And so he wants to, I believe it's, unless I miswrote it, that he wanted to go see the battlefields where his father, and I feel like he got really, really excited and proud of this. Yeah. And so, like, he was pretending to wave the Warhammer.
Yeah,
and
where
how
his father killed Rhaegar.
Exactly. And so I think that, given the right chances, Joffrey could have been like good friends with Robb and Theon and doing
definitely.
that kind of stuff. Like, they could have gotten along if he wasn't such a pretentious cunt. But yeah, so they
start hearing a sound, type of wooding clacking, and then some grunts. And Sansa wants to go back, but Joffrey wants to see what it is. So of course they do what he wants, and they head in the direction of the sound.
As he pulls his fucking sword out.
Yeah, they realize that it's people, and Sansa's wishing that she had Lady with her, and yeah, Joff draws his sword when they come upon a boy and a girl playing at night, as Sansa calls it. They're fighting with broom handles, which I've done that. We've done that. And the older boy is, taller, stronger, but the girl is quick and scrawny and smaller, and she keeps dodging his attacks every now and then and taking a few hits here and there.
Until he finally slides his stick down the end of her stick and smashes her fingers, and she drops her stick.
Gives her a good whap, and this is when Joffrey laughs out loud, and the boy drops his stick and looks around startled. They were having a private sparring kids game. They were just in their own little world. I'm sure they were picturing themselves as knights.
Hell yeah,
they were
right
in
there
it.
Was Barristan the Bold and fucking
but
Arthur Dane.
Sansa is immediately horrified because she recognizes it's Arya. It's Arya and Micah the butcher's boy, and Arya tells them to go away, and she's pretty pissed about this. They're intruding on their game. Like, get away! I don't want my sister around.
We've been there.
Joffrey asks, "Your sister?" and Sansa nods, and she's just absolutely terrified about this. And Joffrey asks, "Who are you, boy?" And this is when Micah answers and realizes that it's the prince, so gives him a my lord and quickly looks away. And Arya tells them, "He's my friend, leave him alone." And Joffrey dismounts and tells Micah to pick up his sword and you want to be a knight.
And poor Micah, he's like, dude, it's just a stick. It's just a stick,
yeah.
not a sword.
Sansa notices there's amusement in Joffrey's eyes as he's walking towards him. And yeah, Micah tries to explain that she asked me, my lord, she asked me. Like, we were just playing. Like, she came to me and said, hey, let's play sticks. And we went out. But this is when Sansa says that Joffrey wouldn't hear it and the wine had made him wild.
Yeah.
She wants to blame it on the wine. But this is just who Joffrey is.
I don't think that she knows yet.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. She's thinking that there's a reason.
And so fucking Joffrey takes a sword, puts it right up to Micah's face, and is just pressing it in on him, just pressing the blade. And the poor kid can't do anything. It's the prince. Like, he can't retaliate. He can't. And he's still fucked.
Yeah, he tells him, that was my lady's sister you were hitting. And, like, that's the reason. And Arya cries out, stop it. And she picks up her stick. And this is when Sansa starts to get afraid. Things are escalating a little bit here. And Joffrey makes a mistake of saying, I won't hurt him much. And Arya goes for him. This is when I mentioned Harry Potter earlier. Arya is a fucking Gryffindor through and through. Like, don't fuck with her friends, yo, or she's gonna fucking whoop your ass.
True.
And she does.
She clunks.
Sansa's getting off of her horse, but she's way too slow to stop anything. And yeah, there is a loud fucking clack.
Just right on the back of his head. Splits his head wide open.
And Joffrey starts staggering around, roaring curses, and Micah just books it for the trees.
Smart.
And, yeah, absolutely.
And then
Arya tries to hit him again.
With a and so he manages to bring his sword up to block this
one.
And
he kind of shatters the stick.
So she starts chucking rocks.
Yeah, his head is bleeding. Sansa can see it. Sansa's shrieking at them both to stop it. You're ruining everything. And yeah, Arya chucks a rock, but he dodges it and it hits the horse. And Joffrey's swinging and slewing horrible, awful slurs and curses at Arya. And he backs her up to a tree. And Sansa doesn't know what to do. She's just about paralyzed with fear at this point.
You know who does know what to do, though?
The direwolves.
My lady.
Suddenly, Nymeria's there, and she hits Joffrey right at the sword arm, and Joffrey and the wolf go down. And the wolf is ripping at him on the ground, it says.
and he just starts screaming.
Yeah, Joffrey's
to get it off.
a putz, we know that. And so it says, Arya's voice cracked like a whip. Nymeria! And Nymeria immediately heals and goes back to Arya's side.
Yeah, Nymeria.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Joffrey is now whimpering, crying on the ground.
Arya walks up, and just, oh, he didn't hurt you. She didn't hurt you much. Just what he
gives
said.
him the line.
And then, goes, picks up his sword and stands over him. And it says he made a scared, whimpery sound as he looked up. No, don't hurt me. I'll tell my mother. Like, you're the Mr. Tough Guy, Mr. Hard-ass from the Butcher's Boy.
Look now.
And you're crying, whimpering on the ground, shaking.
Sansa tells her to leave him alone, and Arya chucks the sword in the river and runs off with Nymeria. And Sansa immediately runs over to Joffrey and gives him a whole, my poor prince, what have they done to you? Oh, I'll run to the holdfast and get help. And she reaches down and tries to brush his hair.
And he's like, his eyes snap open, and he's like, well, get the fuck on with it, bitch.
Yeah, it says there was nothing but the vilest contempt there. And then he says, then go, and don't touch me.
Don't touch me.
I don't like being touched. Yeah, he's a prissy bitch, and we get that painted real quick. We've kind of already known that, because based on, 3 different perspective chapters that we've gotten, and obviously what we know is to come, he's the worst fucking person alive pretty early on in the books. He's just terrible, and Sansa gets to see this, but she's blaming it on the wine, she's blaming it on the situation, but really, Arya and Micah Arya asked, there was consent. He wasn't chasing her around, smacking the shit out of her. They were playing at night.
That's it.
They were friends.
I had meant to point out also, there's when they were talking Septim Ordain and Sansa about how Arya dresses and stuff. Sansa mentioned how she's out playing in the woods and crawling around in the dirt and doing whatever it is, and she can see at night when they're getting ready for sleep, and she undresses, all these bruises all over her body.
Oh yeah,
God knows where she gets those. That's how she gets it.
Her
and so she doesn't
practicing.
complain. She's not whining because she's playing.
Yeah,
she's
having
fun. Like, the number of bruises that I've had and didn't know I had from
well,
when
that
we
was it.
played
Like,
as
that's
kids.
the thing that I think is most ironic about it, is if Joffrey asked them what they were playing, they were probably playing Rhaegar and Robert at the Trident.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. They were
Absolutely.
just as excited about it as he was. They were up there to hunt Rhaegar's ruby. They're all just kids. And Joffrey has to take it to this level of trying to be this fucking badass that he isn't, but he thinks he has this image to obtain or maintain, and Arya, 1, just schools him, wrecks him, and then 2, just shames him and gets rid of his sword. He doesn't deserve to have a weapon like that at all.
Right.
And so it's just, if he just acted like a kid, they could have all played sticks, or, Joffrey and Sansa could have at least sat there and watched them, laughed at them,
and cheered for
each other.
Rhaegar or Robert.
And it would have been a big game, and then they all could have hunted rubies together, but it's fucking tragic, and it's Game of Thrones, and it ain't gonna fucking happen like that. So anyway, those were our thoughts on Sansa 1.
So since we know that I didn't think about it beforehand, who's your initiate for the week here? Who you bringing into the Brotherhood here in the Riverlands? They're here in our home turf, man.
I really want to take the easy one and say Arya, but I think I'm giving it to Sir Barristan. I think we need some honor in the Brotherhood.
Some Barristan.
And he's just...
So I'm going to call him Barry from now on? Barry the Bold?
You can't do that.
I'm doing it.
Don't you dare.
It's done.
He's just so honorable. You just immediately were we trust this guy. He's very kind to Sansa, and she just tells, she even says it in her description, he's old, but he's not weak, he's not frail. He knows what the fuck he's doing.
I really liked how they showed that almost fraternity, that buddy between him and Renly.
He's very kind to Sansa, but then he turns and gives it right back to Renly, and not in a just the hound
just
fuck
being
you
stuff,
cunt type thing.
So,
it's just a light
speaking
jest.
of the fuck you, the hound, he's gonna get my initiate this week. I'm gonna bring him into the Brotherhood a little earlier than he's used to, but because he was able to gently and subtly trick Sansa, thinking that it's her father.
He ships Sansa and the Hound.
I don't ship them.
No,
at
it's
all.
more of a Beauty and the Beast
I
type
really
scenario.
like him just being this guardian angel for her.
I agree.
Kind of
A fatherly figure.
Yeah, and so he's always watching out for her without even realizing that he's doing it. And so that gentle touch shows that he's capable of.
I think it might, on his end,
more.
at least be a little more than that.
Sure,
So
but
sort
I
of
mean,
like a little finger in her thing, but
yeah, but
I think his
he can
is
at
more
least,
pure.
He would have at least given Brandon Stark a fight, whereas Peter Baelish
That's true.
can't handle no shit. I
That's
love
true.
Peter Baelish in the
Well,
book.
those are our initiates for the week, and you guys should write us in to let us know yours.
We got a couple reviews this week
Yes.
on iTunes.
We appreciate those.
So those are so cool. So thanks to Tom there that hooked it up.
Yeah, we appreciate it,
And
Tom.
then Sir Cray.
Sir
I'm gonna
Cray.
call him Sir Cray.
Sir Creighton.
So, Sir Creighton, let's thank you guys for the reviews. We
Yeah.
appreciate them. Please make sure you do those. Give us those 5-star reviews.
Yeah, you can find us
5-star.
on pretty much any social media, but
Especially heavy on the Twitter at Manners Without. The Instagram's pretty poppin'.
Yeah.
I don't say poppin',
Pop, lock,
but I
and
want
drop
to say
it.
it. That's at Brotherhood Without. The Gmail, Without Manners, Brotherhood at gmail.com. We have our Facebook. Stop by the Facebook. Facebook.com/Brotherhood Podcast. And we were teasing it a little bit last week, so we have come up with some of the Patreon episodes.
yeah.
And so we're happy to let you guys know that we will be doing the Winds of Winter sample chapters.
Yeah.
So we're going to essentially do what we do here, just on the newest things that are available currently until the actual Winds
Yeah, we figure
drops.
the sample chapters are kind of optional anyway. Some people do like to read them, some people don't, and that's okay. I was a fiend and wanted anything and everything I could know about Winds of Winter, so I did read. Actually, I haven't read all of them to this date yet, but
Yeah.
I've read a good portion of them, and I enjoy them. I enjoy talking about them. I think they're a fun little look into what may happen. So, yeah, we figured we release those on Patreon. That way, if you want to follow along, but you really don't have the means to support us, that's okay, too. And you can keep reading along the main series with us. But as Patreon, you'll get something a little extra in the sample chapters. If you
That Patreon really helps out. If we can get enough, then we're gonna definitely offer more and more for you guys. We haven't quite decided which of the sample chapters will be first yet.
So suggestions would be great.
Yeah, let us know what you guys want to hear first, which ones you'd like us to read through, and maybe any other suggestions for bonus episodes or content you'd like to hear. Let us know, guys. We want to hear from you. That's why we're doing this, really, is that we have just more people to talk to about one of our favorite pastimes.
Definitely. And next time we hitch in the ear holes, we're going to be doing Ned 3 as well as Bran 3. We're going to be combining those two into one episode. So that should be interesting and a little bit sad knowing what we know is coming for Ned Stark and Lady after this episode. But yeah, we're pretty excited about the way things are looking. A lot of content that we have in the works for you guys that we want to get done. So
We're so busy. I'm so tired these days. There's
That's
so much
true.
going on. But like tired in a good way.
in a fun
Like I'm accomplishing something. I don't know what it is. Like it's but it's
Yeah, no, I've
something.
been pretty busy between the podcast and the D&D game, so I'm satisfied.
True story.
Anyway,
Alright.
we will catch you guys on the Flippity Flop warehouse
With Bran and Ned.
with Bran and Ned. Bran 3, Ned 3.
Three-eyed crow stuff.
333.
Anyway, let us know what you guys think and want to hear, and we'll see you next time.
Go the Hedis.